I'm riding what has to be one of the most ridiculous ATVs you can buy. This is the Yamaha Raptor 700R, and it's only for two things: going fast and having fun, and that's what I'm gonna do right now. Plant for this Raptor 700 actually puts it into a class of 1. There are no other sport ATVs that offer an engine as big as this Raptor does. So powering this unit is a 686cc liquid-cooled 4-stroke engine with a ton of low-end torque. The transmission here is a 5-speed manual with reverse, and the Raptor is just 2-wheel drive, and of course that is rear-wheel drive. Now, when we're talking about size, the wheelbase here is 50.4 inches. The seat sits at 32.7 inches off the ground, and maximum ground clearance comes in at just 9.4 inches. Oh yeah, and the width is just 45.5 inches. And that number stands out to me because ATVs these days are getting really wide. Yamaha's not giving into that trend. They've kept the Raptor the exact same. It's this nice small little package. Finally, the other numbers we need to know here: 9.1 inches of suspension travel in the front and 10.1 inches of travel in the rear. What we are looking at here today is the Raptor 700. Now, this is a sport ATV. If you want to go hunting, don't buy one of these. If you want to go fishing, if you want to tow a trailer, if you want to put payload on, do not buy this. This is a pure sport ATV, and like I mentioned off the top, it really only has one purpose, and that is having fun. This is just a toy, so make sure if you're looking at an ATV, you're prepared to own just a toy. You can't put more people on here or more cargo. But dang, as toys go, this is one of the best ones that you can buy. Now, the other kind of interesting thing I think with the Raptor is that this is not new. In fact, the package you see here is basically identical to the Raptor that Yamaha was selling 10 years ago, and even a little bit more. And that's because this is already basically peak sport ATV. Yamaha's looked at the package and decided there's nothing we can do here that's going to make it better than it already is. And let's go for a ride now, and I can tell you exactly how good or not it still is. Hopping onto this Raptor, you are immediately struck by how simple it is. There's no gauge cluster here. There's not even a speedometer. I mean, I would like kind of a simple digital gauge. There's no fuel gauge here either, just a fuel light. That's basically the go home light. That's when you know you gotta head back. Yeah, so nothing up in front of you. Over here on the left-hand side, usually on ATVs, this is a brake, but not here. This is a clutch. I mentioned this is a fully manual, and like most motorcycles, you go first, neutral, second, third, fourth, fifth. So it is a 5-speed manual transmission. We'll get more into that as we go. Over here on my right, I have my front brakes, and then down there at my right foot, I have my rear brakes. So once again, there's really nothing fancy going on up here. It's simple to operate, and there's no information to overload you. You just get on and ride. Now let's get to the good stuff, how this thing actually rides. And first of all, I want to tell you that normally we test things at the Ironwood test site. That's where we run all the trucks up the hydro line, where we have all our trails. But we looked at this Raptor and said, no, this is not the machine you want in the mud. It's not the machine you want to crawl rocks. You want to be able to go fast, and preferably on a loose material like sand. So we actually came over to a different trail system today. And I'm just telling you this because, again, this machine is not for all terrain. It's really just for spots where you can get wide open and really fly. Now, we did do a little water crossing today. You can see it here. So yes, of course, if you hit it with some speed, you're gonna make it through the water. But again, this machine is not meant for that. So most of what you're gonna see is me just flying along these big, sandy, whooped out trails. And that's what the Raptor is perfect for. The first thing that strikes you when you're riding this Raptor, and I'll stand up to kind of get the point across, is how small it is and how light it is. Like, I can just throw this thing around with my body weight. Now, Yamaha lists the wet weight, that includes oil and a full tank of fuel, at 422 pounds. The majority of ATVs today are 600, 700, 800 pounds. They've gotten big and heavy. So again, this goes against that trend and stays small and lightweight. Now, what does that mean when you're actually out there riding? Well, first of all, lightweight plus a ridiculous amount of power. And let me tell you, the torque here is just epic. It's so simple to break the back end loose on this Raptor, but simple is not really important. What's important is it's predictable, and that is mostly thanks to that solid rear axle. When you have the solid rear, you don't get the rear end sort of articulating separately. You don't get the kind of suspension dive and then catch and the flip over. The rear end here just stays dead flat. So I've been doing donuts. You can see me here kind of doing donuts around Dad, hanging it out around corners, and predictable is the best word. After an hour of riding, I could just absolutely hang the rear end out with no fear of ever going all the way around or flipping or anything like that, because the package is just so balanced and so predictable. And that's exactly what makes it this much fun. I will be honest here and let you know that I've never ridden a Raptor before, and the last time I rode a sport ATV, I was probably 12 years old. So it was a long time ago. I was not going that hard. So this is really my first true experience where I could dig into one of these sport machines. And one of the numbers that jumped out at me was the suspension travel. I looked on the sheet of paper and said, oof, 9 inches and 10 inches. Doesn't sound like a lot of travel compared to what we have on other machines today. And then I hit the trail, and then I hit the whoops, and immediately it was like, wow, the 9 and 10 inches feels like way more. Either that or this machine just uses its travel better. Whatever the case is, the suspension here is excellent. I never bottomed this machine out, and again, that's with a big heavy rider hitting those whoops at high speeds. The other thing coming through the whoops, which was really nice, is I felt like the suspension kind of reacted really quickly. So from one whoop to the next, and mine were kind of big and spaced out, the suspension was ready to go and take that next hit. I never felt like it wanted to buck me off or have the back end come forward on me. So again, the words I keep coming back to are really predictable and powerful. And that's exactly how it felt flying through those big sandy whoops. The suspension setup might be simple, but it does offer more adjustability than what you get on most machines. So if you see the shocks up front here, we do have remote reservoirs. That's to make sure you don't get shock fade. It allows you to have extra fluid in the system. Now what you'll see here is there's actually an individual adjustment for both compression and rebound on this shock, which is pretty cool. And then right here, there's threaded adjustment for the spring preload. So based on A, your riding style, and then B, your weight, you can set this machine up. The ergonomics here are really set up for sport riding as well. You get this tiny little skinny seat, which is nice. You can wrap your legs around it. You don't feel like you have this big wide position, which is good when you want to go fast. The other thing I really like down here are the footwells. You get these nice foot pegs, which have those teeth on them. They really bite in. I even get a little kind of bar there to make sure I don't knock into the transmission. And then you get these big baskets behind. They're actually nicely supported by a metal brace. So if your foot was to slip off, well, you're not going anywhere because you got the nice basket. So again, in a day of hard riding, I found I really like just the way the machine feels underneath you. Well, I've already told you, as toys go, this is a pretty good one. But what is it going to cost you to play? Well, in the United States, there's actually a whole range of Raptor models available. There's a base Raptor, there's this Raptor R, and then there's a couple of appearance packages as well. Well, this model, as you see it in the US, will sell for $9,400. Here in Canada, the Raptor R is the only model we get. We don't get the whole lineup. This is the only one you can buy. And up here, it costs $12,600. Well, folks, we have arrived at the end of this one. Now, even though I do love practicality and I do have a family, today I've proven to myself that big boys still love big toys. And honestly, I'm just thrilled that this Raptor 700 still exists in a sea of utility ATVs. Because if you do want to have some hardcore ATV fun, you still can. Well, folks, that's it for this one. Now, please go below, let me know what you think of this Raptor. As always, while you're down there, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, hit join to become a member, and then come right back here to the channel to see what we are testing next. See ya. Give me your attention and your sweet redemption. I will never let you down.